I have a couple of pretty cool pictures of you, Benji, if we can take a look here. So you posted these to your Instagram account. This one seems to be you walking out of a tunnel or something like that from WrestleMania, which must be AI. But
unreal.
You did post a second one here, which is you in the ring on the ropes, which has to be AI. And this third one, I don't know, it looks pretty good, which is you and Cody Rhodes.
People like say on the comments that it looks like a wax, wax figure.
And then, of course, I'll leave it at that. You want to tell us about this trip that you went on?
Yeah. So last week, I was honored to be invited by both my friend Andrew as a creator and YouTube to this event called the Creator Collective. YouTube hosts these all over the country in different ways. It's a way to get creators together and reach out to different creator communities. This particular one was in Las Vegas at WrestleMania. And so not only was it a creator collective get together, oftentimes there's food and, it's just a time for us to hang out. But this one spanned multiple days, really 2 days. So the picture you're seeing right there, they let us see the set for WrestleMania before anybody else.
Insane.
And reveal it. So WrestleMania.
I didn't know that. Yeah, that's cool.
WrestleMania is the biggest event for WWE, if you're not familiar. It's the Super Bowl for the wrestling world. And every year, WWE shows what the set is going to look like on their YouTube channel. They did something different where they allowed the creators to do it. And so I was technically, just to be clear, Andrew's +1. So I wasn't one of the featured creators, but still I was there hanging out. And so those pictures are what Andrew took of me. And really, I took those first of him. But he's like, Benji, you got to get the picture too. And the wildest one for me, I think more than Cody Rhodes, Cody is the champion of WrestleMania. I think the world champion, I'm not familiar with the title, was me being on the ropes, because being in the ring is like holy ground for wrestlers and wrestling fans. And to be up there where they're going to be fighting or wrestling, putting on a show. And being on the ropes and doing that, I remember growing up as a kid, and seeing The Rock do that, and thinking that's just you're like a king in that moment. You're like a wrestling god. And so I got a little preview of that. So that's what happened. And then the next day I went to WrestleMania, and I should put out some of those pictures, but it was just a great experience. But to me, the big takeaway really was just, hey, what they're doing with these platforms. I say platforms, not just platform, and creators is wild, and it shows you kind of, what's happening right now in the creator economy.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things you told me was that just how big WrestleMania's YouTube channel is overall, right? And kind of their strategy with it. First of all, we have a picture of you and Andrew here just to, give him his props there.
Yeah. That's us on the ring again with the set behind us. And no one's there because we're getting kicked out. We're like, hey, we're going to stay for a clean picture.
Why do you think they wanted to work with creators specifically?
Well, I think that it's really obvious that creators or marketing. If you want to market something, if you want to promote a product, if you're advertising, influencer marketing is a thing for a reason. But even WWE, who I don't know if you pulled up the stats, you should look it up, but I believe it's one of the top 10 YouTube channels in terms of views. And I think they have 100 billion views. Even a platform like WWE and an event like WrestleMania, they still want creators to reveal it because, creators have this connection with their community, with their audiences, with the viewers, and they create content. The amount of phones, and it was crazy observing other creators too. So I'm not a, diehard wrestling fan anymore. As a kid, I used to watch it all the time. So the other creators that were invited, I think they were, handpicked by WWE and YouTube because of their content and their fandom. They were making so many videos because they never get to be on the ring. So the amount of videos I saw being produced, and when they let us just hang out for 2 hours in the ring, they're realizing, oh, dang, either they were intentional about giving us that time in the environment, or they didn't know that the creators would do it. But either way, tons of content was created. And even for me, right, that post, that as one of my most engaging posts that's outside of my normal niche content, family, food type of content. And because it's so rare, it's so wild. So that's why WWE wants to work with them. But I mean, the thing that surprised us was TikTok also showed up too.
Interesting.
And I won't get into the details, but long story short, YouTube was there being represented by their creators. TikTok was there being represented by their creators. But the creators, when they all mixed, you didn't know the difference. Creators are just friends with creators. It doesn't matter the platform, right? Like they're not gatekeeping like their social groups. They're all intermingled. So in this case, YouTube and TikTok, they're competitors, but they're not working together. But creators, they don't know any different. So because of that, a lot of like serendipitous, organic, and like natural collaborations were happening, and that I think is the huge value. So, I mean, you could say like, even though there's this cost to hosting these creators, putting on this event, they had a bus take us everywhere. We went to all the different, we went to the convention where they have all the wrestling booths and brands related to that world. And we got access 30 minutes before the rest of the ticketed, fans. And then we got to have lunch in Allegiant Stadium. So there's obviously costs to all that happening. Man, the amount of value they got from the free content is undeniable. And that's why for me, I have this paper that I look at all the time above the camera that I'm looking at, and it has 3 words on it. YouTube, first word. Second word is creators. And the third word is creator economy. And I have creators circled because really everything is happening because of these people, including myself, including you, including like my wife and so many of my friends, because what they've accomplished and what their value is to brands, even as big as WWE. So yeah, that's why we were there and why we got literally a once in a lifetime opportunity, or at least a first.
Some real-time follow-up. WWE has 113 million subscribers. They have almost 100,000 videos, which is kind of crazy. And they have 103 billion views, which is
I feel
just
kind of
crazy.
proud that we have 1 billion views on our one channel. That's like 1% of what they've done. But by the way, that's just on YouTube though. I bet you if you added it all up, you could probably ask ChatGPT to do it. The amount of views their content gets is crazy. So YouTube has a good relationship with WWE for obvious reasons, but they're trying to support each other. And that's what I saw. Like a lot of, positive vibes between the two brands.
One of the things too, and this is maybe a little bit of a tangent on what you're talking about, but I do think it's worth mentioning here, which is that pro wrestling has some deep roots in the creator community. And I've been shocked by this over the last couple of years. The more I talk to people, the more pro wrestling comes up as an inspiration. Really great example of this is somebody like Dan Norton of Deep Pocket Monsters, which is Pat Flynn's Pokemon channel, the fastest growing Pokemon channel on YouTube. They post like hour-long videos, sometimes 2-hour-long videos once a month, and they get millions of views on their videos, which is just crazy, and tons of watch time. And one of the inspirations that he told us about when the first time we met him, what was it, about a year ago at this point, was that he likes to tell great stories, and he thinks that the WWE and pro wrestling is a great venue through which storytelling is done. And so he takes some inspiration from that in order to create some of the most successful videos on YouTube, which is just kind of an interesting takeaway for me.
Yeah. Ultimately, the simplest thing that you can take from wrestling, pro wrestling, and apply to your content as a creator is the storytelling part. But even just like how seriously they take their production, it's crazy. Everything revolves around what looks good on TV. So even Andrew was telling me, wrestlers, they have to be both, physically fit, they have to be super athletes and be legit wrestlers, even though we know that it's scripted or whatever. They still are like hitting each other, they're still jumping off the things, but they have to do it all the while noticing where the camera's at. They have to be aware of it. And Andrew was in real time telling me, he's like, we have the best seats in the house because the camera's on this side, so they're facing us. So if you're on the other side of the stadium, as a creator, you have to always kind of have that awareness. So Andrew, he used to be a wrestler. So and it's funny, he forgot, he told me this. I met Andrew at a creator event, and I was starting the channel Video Influencers, and he was one of our early interviewees. And he told me he took what he learned as a entertainer in the wrestling world and applied it to what he is as a content creator. So his flashiness, the way he is on camera, and just his awareness, like I'm also entertaining people as I'm educating. And he forgot, he told me that. And so I brought it. It was like so crazy. Now I kind of understand, like, because he was telling me about everything. He's like, oh my gosh, yeah, I remember telling you that. And that was like 10 years ago. And so there's a lot of wrestlers on YouTube now. Literally, I met some creators that are wrestlers. They actually do pro wrestling or amateur wrestling. And because of it, they're better on camera. And I think every creator can learn from, just like we could learn from like a Mr. Beast or, like a Casey Neistat. There's a lot of lessons there. So number one, storytelling. Two, how important it is to understand production, right? And, how you're going to be presented on camera. And then I think the big one is just fandom. This is what's crazy. It goes back to the story, but the story can be determined by the fans. In real time, Andrew was telling me, you can kind of change the tone of the script. And that is kind of crazy to me because they tell the writers or the people coming up with the stories what to do. I don't know if this is too much insider information. You never hear them talking about it because they want it to be like very
There's
real.
a Netflix documentary about it now.
Okay, so, cool. Yeah. So it's like pretty out in the open, but I saw it happen there. Like you expect to boo for the bad guy until the audience likes the bad guy. And then you can change a tone. And this is like, not, it's not like you want to change yourself, but yeah, valuing the audience, not just like doing whatever you want to do. Like, because right now, one of the big takeaways is that it didn't have like a crazy attendance. Part of it was a cost. It's one of the most expensive WrestleMania. So, and this is not new too. One of the wrestlers called out the price of the tickets on camera.
Really?
Yeah, that was wild. He was one of the main ones too, fighting for the championship.
It's interesting. I feel like that is very much of WWE's spirit, in that they kind of have that man of the people sort of thing, even though they're sort of like these godlike figures.
Not corporate.
Not
right?
corporate at
like,
all.
Very much rebels.
And just a real-time follow-up question from @NKProdTV. I think that's neutrally maybe in the chat. Who says, how many cameras did WWE have?
Oh my gosh. Well, I actually took pictures. I forgot to send them to you guys. But you know what? Not as many as you think. It's not like a football game, partly because it's all like isolated to one area. I couldn't see all the cameras either, but I can't even remember. But remember, they are only trying to get it for one angle for one thing, which is TV. They don't necessarily need all the different angles. And the difference is football players aren't playing to the cameras and entertaining a television audience. They're 100% focused on a game because it's not scripted. It's not like predictable what's going to happen. Versus these guys, they walk out there knowing like that camera, I have to face that camera. And that was what was wild to see. And you could kind of see like them almost turn when they're going to do something. So like all the craziest stuff happens at an angle where there is a camera. And so even when like the crane, right? The crane cameras are only on one side of the stadium, not on the other side.
So they're all basically, so they know which side of the stadium to face basically when something happens, is what you're saying.
I think so.
Interesting. Huh?
Yeah.
Well, let's get some follow-up here. Last week, we talked about Meta and YouTube and how they were found negligent in the design of their products in a case in California. They lost these, what people called bellweather cases, and Meta and YouTube were found liable for $6 million in total damages for this one person who was suing them, with Meta responsible for 70%, which is $4.2 million, and YouTube for 30%, which is $1.8 million. I want to get into some of the things that we discussed, but we got a lot of feedback on that clip, and I just wanted to be able to hash out a little bit this with you because we never really came to a resolution. You and I were a bit on different sides of the argument. I think we have some agreement. I just wanted to make sure that it was all cleared up. And so the first one is from Holly Brenna 7898, who says, didn't make it past 10 minutes into this video. First mistake is valuing billionaires' opinions over the children and parents affected. Social media apps allow users as young as 13 to join. How is a 13-year-old supposed to understand personal responsibility about social media usage that way, especially if their parents don't teach them about it for whatever reason? Bad take, thumbs down. Now, just to recap a little bit, one of the things that you said is that you're on the side of personal responsibility. But I think because this person didn't make past 10 minutes, maybe they didn't hear about the fact that you've also been on panels that have talked about keeping kids safe on other platforms. So when it comes to that, in terms of valuing the protection of children versus what the freedom of these platforms have in order to design their products, can you hash out a little bit more detail there for us in terms of what your nuanced take is in that scenario?
Yeah, ultimately, in this case, on the side of the platform being responsible, I do think that's important that they take responsibility, okay? They also have to go out of the way to make sure their products are safe for those younger people. And YouTube does do that. And I don't know if they had to have like a court case to do it. They are such a good company. They did it on their own. They had this parent panel. I was a part of it. But at the end of the day, as a parent, I am 100% responsible. Now, the thing is with this comment, I'm just assuming, expectation is sometimes you can't expect that parent to be knowledgeable, maybe, or like being able to supervise everything around your kid. To a certain degree, I kind of agree. Well, this is why at school, parents are so important, right? The staff is so important. We trust them to do it. But at home, that's different, right? At home, you're the one. This is your environment. Just like I don't feel like parents should be told what to do in their home, but that's because they should be the ones responsible for what's going on in their home. Okay, and when you break the law in your home, so what do you call it? Like when like a parent is negligent, like if you leave a gun out,
Sure,
right?
yeah.
Or if your kid gets hurt because something you weren't doing, like you've heard of kids maybe like getting left at home or like leaving the home, like the parent is responsible. That's what I'm saying. It's both sides. But again, just putting it all the responsibility on one side in that case, which was the platform, I don't think was right, especially if it's like it can get what do you call it? Frivolous lawsuits. That's what I'm saying. But interesting comment. I mean, I appreciate the perspective. It sounds like you might not watch or listen to this podcast anymore because you didn't get past it. But that's what I was saying. It is both sides. But in the case of this, I think because it's in the home and the kid is on the device that you probably gave to him, you as a parent need to take responsibility for it. I'm curious if that person's a parent. Did they say?
Yeah, I don't think they said, and I would love to hear that from them as well. Of course, like we're open to having these types of conversations on the show. I think they're very important for us to discuss, right? As people who are involved in the creator and media community, these are the types of things that will change the future of these platforms, that will change the future of society as a whole. And so, like a couple of things that I had brought up as a couple of examples is something like age gating, right? Or something like labeling, right? And one of the things that we talked about last time is the comparison to something like alcohol and cigarettes, right? Where your point, Benji, was that, well, things like alcohol and cigarettes, after that lots of research has been done, there's an easier one-to-one connection to draw than something like somebody's mental state. I think that there's probably still a lot of research to be done to decide whether that's fully true, but I think that given the current information, that's a reasonable conclusion to come to. And I guess the follow-up example, right, that you were concerned about was that, like, let's say that you had to do something like age gating or labeling, you have the government sort of dictating product design in this type of way, and you were concerned about that dictation of the product design. I think another good counterexample, and I'm curious to hear your response to this, is something like driving and being in a car, right? So we do mandate things like crash safety tests and things like that, things like seat belts and stuff like that, and we even mandate that on the personal level as well. Where does that analogy fall along the spectrum here of the things that you're talking about in terms of concern about designing products and companies' freedom, and these platforms' freedom to design their products in a way that they think is best?
Well, this is getting into like very interesting territory. Immediacy is the first thing that comes. I feel like I'm a lawyer, like arguing my side or whatever. Okay, a car, for example, can create immediate dangers for that person driving it and other people, okay? Because a car can go 100 miles per hour. So you could crash and hurt yourself. You could crash into someone else and hurt them, and you can damage property, okay? And you're on like a public road. Versus like social media, it's not immediate, right? Like any kind of danger is, even in the case of the court case, depression, right? And then leading them to be depressed.
Yeah.
That definitely didn't happen from one time. So a car can be right away, you know?
In fact, actually, in the court case, that part of the thing is that it was used over a period of time and was used a lot over a period of time, to your point.
Exactly. Yeah. And so again, who's paying attention to that kid over that long period of time versus a kid could take a car, right? And hurt somebody right away. You know, it's funny. I have a good example of this. Would you agree that somebody that's 13 years old should not be driving on public roads?
Yes.
It's against the law basically everywhere in the country, I think.
It's a good question.
Most places, yeah. But you know, my kid drove a car on a road at 13 years old.
Really?
Yes. Guess where?
I don't know.
Private property.
Yeah.
That's my home, right? That I dictate what happens on my property. That's allowed. I actually don't even know if that's technically allowed, but guess what? I think that other people would understand because they were being supervised from me. Now, they weren't going 90 miles per hour. I was just teaching them how to go down this driveway, okay? And it wasn't on a public land. It wasn't a, you know, like actual road. It was just like a trail, basically, you could say. And so that's a good example of how, hey, still a dangerous vehicle, but there's no immediate damage to anybody else, and it's being supervised, again, by their parent. So that'd be a good example of like why that's different.
According to this this is real-time follow-up. According to this Wikipedia page that lists minimum driving ages, the absolute minimum anywhere in the country is 14, and it's in Alaska, Arkansas, Iowa, Kansas, North Dakota, and South Dakota. Those are the 4. I just have one more thing to show from that view, from our comment section there, and it aligns with what we talked about and opened that segment with last time, which was Jack Dorsey's comment about free will versus free speech. And this says, part of the responsibility does fall on the user of the app, but the apps are designed to pull you into interaction loops. Sometimes the content you're fed isn't what you actually want on your feed. It's just engaging enough to make you interact. In fact, we just discussed something like this. When you open up an app for the first time, like TikTok, it'll just feed you content, right? Because it's trying to get you to engage. And so I'm curious about what your reactions are just briefly to that type of comment as well.
Yeah, I mean, I'm still the one that decided to buy this device and then download that app. And so who gets to dictate what a private company does or doesn't do? It's up to me to decide what direction I want to go anyways. You know, the algorithm, we talked about how like when I used to use TikTok, there's content I didn't want to see. Well, guess what? I did. I literally deleted that app and I didn't watch it. Now when I'm on the app, I kind of understand how to navigate it. Maybe I'm a little bit more careful. And so I'm only getting content I want to see. So your ability to choose is what's important. I want to say also on this note too, this is why freedom of speech is important. What's unfortunate about that person, if they totally left, I love these conversations because I also love free speech, because we get to like argue or share and debate our perspectives, opinions, and thoughts. And then if there is something that collectively we decide there should be a law around, that's a law that gets made. And then I have to follow regardless if I agree with it or not. That's where like freedom of speech meets governance, I guess you could say, right? And collectively. But that doesn't happen until we all talk about it. So I'm not judging this person if they like unsubscribe or don't want to watch, but that is kind of the whole point of freedom of speech, that we get to hear a different perspective from a different person, because we might hear something that we've never heard before.
Democracy works. I want to show you the way I think about it really quickly, just because this is one of my favorite kind of hobby horses. Sorry that I'm drawing on top of this because it's going to get a little bit messy. There's a idea that if you read the First Amendment, that they actually structure it in a way that describes how they think a democratic process works, which is that at the very beginning, they think about how all ideas, if you remember, the first part of the First Amendment is actually about religion, right? And freedom of religion. So really one way to interpret that, you have to remember you're interpreting this in context of the time, that they're thinking about you have the freedom within your own mind to think the thoughts that you want to think. You can subscribe to the values that you want. Mm-hmm. You can do the things that you want. But guess what the second phase is? This is inside of your own mind here. Second phase is that you talk with the people around you, right? You get to talk to people. Benji and I get to talk to each other because we're interacting with each other every day. I talk with my mom and dad about this. I talked with my sisters. I talked with my girlfriend about this, right? That second ring around it is like the first thing that you have. That's freedom of speech, right? The third piece of the First Amendment is freedom of the press, right? So that's when you get to the broadest part of things, because once you've shared your ideas with the people around you, the next logical step after you've stress tested it with the folks that you're aligned with is to stress test it across society. And so back in the day, that would be something like the printing press, and you share it with people and see what their reaction is. And then the last piece is sharing it up at the level of the government, right? You have the freedom to petition the government, to protest and ask the government to do something. And guess what? If they are not the government that's doing what you want to do, you can vote them out. Or you can run for yourself, or you can lobby in a different way. And so that's the beauty of the First Amendment. I had to use this as an excuse to share it. But like your 13-year-old, let's change gears here.
The home is different.
Last week, we speculated on the availability of the Osmo Pocket 4 the day before the launch. Unfortunate timing for us, but also kind of interesting timing for the sake of the show. I want to play a clip for you of what we said. I wanted to talk about the availability of the 4 itself, because if it's announced tomorrow, there's some confusion around whether it will be available in the US. Now, here's the question. If I were to buy, if DJI announces the Osmo Pocket 4 on the 16th, which is tomorrow as we record this, it comes out on the 20th, can I buy one in the United States? Because guess what? Back in the day, in December of 2025, there was a DJI ban that kind of came across the FCC. And so one of the things that happens there is that FCC has this thing that they call the covered list. The idea of the covered list is that if something is added to it, then it's paused basically from FCC authorizations in terms of it being available to be added. Now, of course, there's a whole thing going on right now politically between the US and China, economically as well. And DJI was added to the covered list. So, of course, that would mean that because anything that's coming out needs FCC certification, if it does not have FCC certification, then it will not be available to be purchased in the US. So that boils down to this very simple question, if that's all gobbledygook for you. Is the Osmo Pocket 4 on the covered list? And secondarily, did it already have certification beforehand? So,
is it banned or is it not?
Is it banned or is it not? Well, here's the first answer to the first question. DJI is on the covered list. So that means that DJI in general cannot get any more authorizations going forward in terms of new products that they're releasing. So what about the Osmo Pocket 4 that comes out tomorrow? Well, fortunately for all of us who are excited about the DJI Osmo Pocket 4, it has already secured FCC approval before the December 23rd cutoff that happened last year, which means that the Osmo Pocket 4 that is announced tomorrow will be available in stores in the US starting hopefully around the end of April, as was rumored by Drone XL that we talked about before there. Now, here's the catch. There's a second Osmo that's supposed to come out this year, and there's lots of questions around it, and it does not seem like it's going to be announced tomorrow, and it's called the Osmo Pocket 4 Pro. That's what people are assuming. Now, there's lots of features. We've talked about this in previous episodes if you want to go check them out, but the sort of baseline one that they talk about is that it might have multiple lenses to achieve a zoom effect like the one that you talked about.
Zoom effect or real zoom?
Well, my guess is a zoom effect. I bet you they'll do kind of like the iPhone with multiple cameras on the back. They'll probably do the same thing on the Pocket. It'll give you optical zoom, but it won't be like your handheld camera that you were showing us before with the actual like optical zoom with a moving lens piece there. Regardless, the Osmo Pocket 4 Pro is not have approval at this point.
Oh, snap.
So even if the Osmo Pocket 4 is announced tomorrow and is released, then the Osmo Pocket 4 Pro will not come out in the US because it is not approved.
Well, then we got to go to Japan this summer.
So I don't know. Maybe we'll go to Japan. But in summary,
I sound like a crazy fan out there.
In summary, we thought that the Pocket 4 would be available because it had approval, and the Pocket 4 Pro would not be available because it did not have approval in time. Well, we posted that video, and we got this response in return, which is from Fix It On The Way, and it says, it's Thursday, April 16th, and the Pocket 4 is out, and it's banned, and it's illegal to cross the U.S. border with it. Can't wait to hear what Creator Secrets has to say about this, but they also say Pocket 4 ban review is pending. I think if DJI is willing to pony up enough cash, the Pocket 4 will get mysteriously unbanned. I don't know about that part about crossing the border with it, but it is true that it's banned. I'm curious about what your reactions are to that.
Oh, well, first off, I am surprised that it's not available after everything that you researched and what we heard and the whole buzz around it, because I think there's US based creators that got the Osmo Pocket 4, right?
Yeah, but I mean, the counter is that, we have people that are friends with us that went to NAB and they didn't see it at NAB, and so they didn't even advertise it.
And then the second thing is that it's actually banned.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly.
So,
well, I don't know. Well, let me just clarify. I'm not sure that it's banned. It could, so here's the gray area that I did not account for when we were talking about that. That's why I played that. It could be approved, but DJI could be choosing not to sell it in the US, right? That's a possibility.
Why would that be?
Because they think that the US is basically a dead end market for them now at this point, because they're not allowed to sell anything anymore.
Oh, in addition to that.
So why put there's one reason why we do it, because
they're the number one customer.
Well, yeah, but you'd be making money on this product. But if they're like, well, we got to figure this out, we might as well just put our energy into the rest of the world where we can actually continue to grow our business. You could understand that as a business move.
Question: is it available in Canada? Because if it is, I'm driving up to Vancouver, BC, and getting it. Because now it's a rarity. Now it means that there's creators. Because I haven't seen creators reviewing it. Like a regular creator that doesn't have access to DJI, like early, product access. And we should look that up actually, if it's available in Canada. But for me, I think that it goes back to what I said about the DJI Pocket 4 months ago. Do you remember what I said about it?
I don't remember what you said, no.
Well, generally speaking, I said might not even be worth buying, because if the DJI Pocket 3 is a lower price and it's available, that's all you need. Like 90% of creators only need that. I can tell you because I daily vlog with it, and I would buy a brand new DJI Pocket 3 right now and would love it. In fact, anytime I get a new one of those, which has only been one time after the first time I bought it, is awesome. And so it does so much that it's mind-blowing compared to any other consumer camera because of the form factor. So this doesn't really change anything for me on my opinion on if you should buy or not. But I don't know if we're going to go into it. The reviews that come in, and a lot of people that review cameras and just creators in general have been unimpressed with the Pocket 4.
Yeah, actually, that's a great transition. I will give some real-time follow-up here. From mobilesyrup.com, they say DJI Osmo Pocket 4 is now available for pre-order in Canada. So it is available. But Benji's not going to buy it and cross the border with it, so don't worry about it. More on the Osmo. Last week, we also chatted about the rumored and leaked features of the Osmo, which pretty much all came true. Let's give that a look as well. Sensor and dynamic range. On here, you see that it says that there is a 1-inch sensor on both cameras, right? So that's one thing. So honestly, when you look at that, that's not really even an upgrade in the first place from the 3 to the 4. Well, what about the color support? Well, there's a 10-bit D-Log M and HLG on the Osmo Pocket 3. The only one rumored on the Pocket 4 is 10-bit D-Log, so it's the exact same. There's literally no difference between the two. Zoom capabilities. I was like, oh, this is so exciting for you, Benji. 2x lossless mid-tele zoom, on 2x lossless zoom on the Pocket 4. Yeah. You already have that on your Osmo Pocket 3 for the most part. I'm sure there's going to be slight upgrades, but they pretty much already have it. They say it's a new hardware feature, but I don't see any evidence of that anywhere. Here's the major difference between the two. No built-in storage versus 107 gigabytes of built-in storage.
That is a big one, I think. Yeah.
It's kind of like having your iPhone, right? Not having to deal with a micro SD. Active Track 6 versus 7. Well, we just talked about Active Track and how neither of us really are huge fans of it. 3 mic array versus 4 mic array could be a difference, but really I can't imagine it being a game changer. It just might be an improvement. And then the 3-axis gimbal and rotatable touchscreen, well, that's just what an Osmo is, and so that has it as well. So you look at this here, you look at something like this, and I'm kind of like, well, maybe you were right all along. It really is quite evolutionary rather than revolutionary when it comes to something that's an Osmo upgrade.
That's a good way to put it.
If you were paying close attention there, I did say something that was slightly wrong. I promise we'll get to what you're thinking of, Benji, but the comment section called me out for it, and so neutrally you can publicly shame me now if you'd like. This is from @Doriago _B, that says at minute 8:53.
I love that comments are calling us out.
I know. Well, it's good. This is the whole point of follow-up on the show. So continue to give us your comments. He says, whoa, whoa, whoa. What do you mean there's no difference in the D-Log? There's a massive difference. D-Log M is not the same as true D-Log. This upgrade is massive and offers more flexibility with color grading and more professional performance. D-Log M is like the light version of D-Log. I think you're probably going to have thoughts about this, Benji, but I do want to just confirm this. There was a great video. Well, first of all, just to explain, D-Log is DJI's official log format, which is kind of like shooting RAW if you're from the photography world. And actually, DJI has a whole documented white paper that's all about, they describe every single little thing. This is a really common thing. Like Apple has one, DJI has one, Sony has one. It's basically this thing that lets you understand the inputs and outputs of the actual log format that you're recording in itself. And specifically, D-Log proper used to only be found on DJI's more professional cameras. Like I think like the Ronin is one of them. I'm not as familiar with their entire product offering. And so it was something that was only found in the high-end cameras, and now it's available on the Osmo. So big deal, right? D-Log M is not documented at all. It doesn't have as much dynamic range as one piece of it. It doesn't have all of the bells and whistles of the regular D-Log. And so thank you to Doriago_B for calling me out, because it is actually a huge difference basically between D-Log and D-Log M. And thank you to Evan Schneider. I'm going to put the link in the description, whose video explained that for me. And he had some great example footage if you want to see for yourself. You can click that link in the description. One of the weird things about it, though, was that D-Log M was way better looking than the standard, like just recording like standard. But like he didn't end up comparing D-Log M and D-Log, so I couldn't see them one-to-one, but you could notice a slight difference, at least between the two. Now, personally, having color graded in the past and as having color graded in my current videos, I think there's a lot of credibility to that claim, but I'm curious about what you think the impact is of the difference between D-Log and D-Log M for the average creator, Benji.
0.
Really? And why is that?
For the average creator, absolutely 0. So if you listen to all that and you're like, I have no idea what he's talking about, I can relate because I don't ever use D-Log. Think of a video or picture where the colors aren't there. It looks almost like grayish or like black and white almost. It's because when you use D-Log or you're shooting RAW, that's kind of like a good way to put it. The creator likes to adjust the colors and the lighting themselves. And it films it in a way that's so raw that makes you able to enhance it to give it a certain look. But if you're like a vlogger like me that doesn't want to spend time post-recording before you edit, doing all that, and you don't care about the control, you just want it to look good, well, then you would never use it. And so cameras these days are so good. Their auto settings are just so sharp and clean, and the colors pop. And that usually like color pop is like the only thing like the average creator would want. Well, then there's no need for a better D-Log. So that's why I say it's not. And think about this. Those people ultimately that want that ultimate D-Log function. So which one's better, D-Log or D-Log M?
D-Log.
Okay, D-Log is better than D-Log M, right?
That's correct, yeah.
Ultimately, those people are using the DSLRs. They're using a nicer camera with a nicer lens. And yes, it's convenient for those people. It's such a small percentage of the DJI Osmo Pocket 4 or 3 customer base that the average. So I'm just thinking about sales, okay? This is why a pro version makes sense, because the pro version might have multiple lenses, would further have better D-Log, and it would cost more, I'm assuming, okay? And of course, when something costs more, typically that's a smaller percentage of your customer base. So it's a nice addition, especially say, Pocket 3 is not always going to be available. One day it's going to be done and expired and like all sold out, and you only have the 4. So if you ever want to go that direction. But right now, for the average customer, I've been saying this forever without any reference to D-Log. Pocket 3 with their D-Log M, totally fine. And I know a creator that uses the D-Log function, Matt Broussard.
I was just gonna say.
And his stuff does look really good.
Yes.
I wouldn't think like, oh, I wonder how much better it could look. I'm actually impressed with what the Pocket 3 does with the current D-Log M in his content. And so he does control the feel of it. So it has kind of like a golden hour sunset feel. He likes those warm tones. That's always been kind of his content type.
Yeah, his
and
style.
he achieves it with the Pocket 3.
A little bit more about the Osmo Pocket 4, and this gets to the thing that I know is near and dear to your heart, Benji. This was a final comment that we got on our videos about the DJI Osmo from @WhoSaidNeville, who says, for people entering the Pocket ecosystem now, buying the latest model still makes a lot of sense. This was in response to our video where we said, maybe you shouldn't buy it because as you saw, if you're watching the whole thing, that we compared the two and we said there probably isn't that big of a difference. And as you confirmed there with your comment about D-Log, maybe not the biggest and most important thing in the world, in our opinion, for the average creator. I'm curious about what your immediate response is to that, because I have a interesting piece of data for you about the Pocket 3, which is the thing that you say that you want to continue buying. What's your immediate response to the idea of someone entering the Pocket ecosystem with the Pocket 4 instead of the 3?
Well, of course, the Pocket 4 will be better than the Pocket 3. So there's no denying that. And I think it's going to be sold at around the same price. So you're not losing anything by upgrading. You're gaining a lot, including, like I said, the onboard memory. So for me, I don't know. Like, let me read this comment real quick. What this comment is saying mutually. Bring it back up. For people entering the Pocket ecosystem now, buying the latest model still makes a lot of sense. Yes, if you can afford it, but if you want to save money, then 3 is 100% okay. That's my opinion right now.
Or if you're from the US.
Yeah. So, is it worth it to buy? Well, that's going to be subjective to the buyer and what you value the most. I'm saying the average person can get away with a 3, and it's totally okay. In fact, I think preferred for the savings, because with that savings, you can get like another mic, you can get another accessory. That's where I'm spending the money on those things, which typically in the past I didn't really care about, but because the accessories I think make a big deal, like the clips I have, or a bigger SD card, or in the case of like what else, other accessories, even the fanny pack, right? Like something to hold it in.
Wide angle
lens,
That's a
which
good point.
I think the new one comes with it. The new one comes with a wide angle lens.
On that note of price, because we're on Benji Pocket purchase watch. Sorry, I struggled with saying that. I tried practicing it before the show. I knew I'd mess it up. So Benji Pocket purchase watch. You've been saying that one of the things you're going to look out for is that because the Pocket 4 was released, that maybe the price will drop. Well, there's a great website for this. This is a life hack for those of you who don't know. Do you ever use this website? Camel.com.
No.
One of my favorite websites ever. It tracks the price history
Is it going down,
of the Osmo Pocket.
or did it go up?
So here is not when it was released. This is about a year after it was released. This is sort of the baseline price of the creator combo here. So that's right above 650, 660, 675-ish. Well, you'll remember that we started covering this right around the end of 2025 when the price of the Pocket had just skyrocketed from that 650 range to almost $1,000 for the creator combo. So that was right around, let's see, this is like what, April, May of 2025. So we started covering it right about here.
Definitely not worth it to buy at that price.
And you can see it just kind of skyrockets up and down. And as we got closer and closer to the launch date, well, here in February of 2026, it dropped to an all-time low of $569.
The creator combo.
That was the creator combo, which is a pretty dang good deal, honestly. Now, what has happened recently, funny enough, is that in the US, the price shot right back up. And my guess is that this happened right around the rumors that it was not going to be released in the US. And so right now it's being sold for $629, which is really not that much of a discount if you're buying it new from Amazon from the original price, especially for a product that's now.
Well, that makes sense for 2 reasons. Number one, if you can't get the 4, you have to get the 3. And 2, well, there's more content around the DJI Osmo Pocket 3 and 4 anyways. So now you're just like, I want to buy one. I can't buy the new one, so I'll just buy the old one. So yeah, of course, more demand, price goes up. February would have been the time to buy it.
Yeah, it would have been.
I kind of wish I did.
I know, and that's actually my question for you, which is, what are your current thoughts about purchasing a Pocket for yourself now? Because I know that you love the Pocket, you have an interest in the 4. You talked about maybe wanting to buy the Pocket 3 on the dip.
How much is a Pocket 4 combo?
That's a good question.
That is the question, really. How much more to get that? Because I still would get it to test it out for the audience and other creators and see if it's worth it. And it'd still be fun for me, but depending on how much more. So you can get the 3 for $629. You said
$629.
And so what's the combo kit for the 4? If it's like $100 more, I'm getting the Pocket 4.
It's hard for me to see because I can't access it because we're in the US.
Yeah.
I'm gonna look here.
Just do the Canadian price.
Yeah, it looks like it might be around 700 is what it is.
In Canada?
I'll look it up in Canada specifically.
And then convert it.
In the meantime, we have some real-time follow-up from Matthew Pate Official, who says, hopefully Extra can do something. I guess there's always Insta360 Luna. If Extra came out with something, would you entertain buying a version of the Pocket 4 Pro from them?
No.
Why is that?
You know, I told you there's certain ways the DJI product feels that is clearly different on the Extra. So it's just maybe a preference, a personal preference. It makes a big difference. So we had Neutrally, our producer, bring his in, and I was playing around with it. And when you slide the screen to the side, which is one of the coolest functions because it's so quick to be able to turn on the camera and get recording quickly, it wouldn't slide as nicely. And it wasn't a matter of like it needs to be broken in. I just don't think the engineering is as good. That's just one little thing I noticed. And there's a lot of other stuff too. So that's why. And it's kind of like, let me ask you this. If there was a fake version of Apple and it was way discounted and it did work about the same, would you ever buy a non-Apple product?
No.
It's the exact same thing with this.
Okay, final piece of real-time follow-up on this. Canadian, it's about $829 for the Creator Combo, which is about $606 in the United States.
Bam! Get that. I'm serious right now. If you can get that for less than the American price for
without
the 3,
breaking the law? Without breaking the law?
What is the law? Like you can't bring it over the border?
We'll research that for the next show. But there you go. That's the life hack there. Let's get into some topics. Staying on the Osmo theme here. There was some interesting news right before the announcement of the Osmo Pocket 4, which is another image that was leaked of the DJI Osmo Pocket 4 Pro. So let me show it to you here. This is from a leaker named Igor. He's at Quadro_news on Twitter.
Can you zoom in on that?
Yeah, I was trying to see if I could. It doesn't look like I can.
Really?
In fact, right there, I have to go full screen anyway. So neutrally, let me know if that pops up. I can't see anything on my end.
Because I would love to be able to see what that looks like. Maybe you can airdrop it to me. I'll like zoom in on my camera on my phone.
One way or the other, the Osmo Pocket 4 Pro does confirm a lot of the things that we talked about before, which is that it seems like it is the dual lens model. It's a much chunkier device overall, and the cameras are going to be side to side, left to right. My guess is that what that is, it's going to be a lot like your iPhone, which has multiple cameras next to each other. It will use them as a software version to get an optical zoom, but using physical hardware. So it's like a mix of optical and digital zoom together.
But it's still an actual zoom because it's a different lens.
Yes.
There's a tele lens and then there's a regular lens.
That's the physical thing right there. Yeah.
Which that is a huge benefit. For anyone that doesn't understand why I obsess over actual optical versus digital, you can see this with DSLRs that have an actual lens. In fact, you want to grab one of those lenses over there? Because I'm going to show you guys the example, okay? And this is going to make sense because this is a big version of what's in your camera or not in your camera. This is is this optical? Is this optical?
That one might not be.
Is this fixed? Wait.
No, this is another one.
Those are fixed lenses.
Oh, these are fixed lenses?
The 24 to 70s are the ones.
Okay, give me that one right there, okay? Here, this is a big version of what's inside your phone. There you go. Right, this is the OG right here, the A99. A77, wow, okay. The A99 has mysteriously went missing.
Really?
Okay, yeah. Okay. Anyways, I think you were the last one to have it, by the way.
Really?
Yeah, it might have been lost in high school somewhere. Okay, anyway, so this right here is an optical zoom that's happening right now, okay? This is pieces of glass are in here and it's shifting. And when you do an optical zoom, it obviously zooms on the object, but also it brings all the things in the background closer to you. It's this weird thing. If you ever watch like a horror movie and they're going down the hallway and they're focused on the subject, but then it looks like the walls are kind of like moving towards you. It's like this weird. That's what optical zooms up. It changes the dynamic of the image. When you do a digital zoom, all it's doing, it's not zooming up on things. It's just cropping in to whatever you're focused on, but you don't change the dynamic of the image. Well, when you have two lenses, even if it doesn't do that, you're changing to a different dynamic. So you can try this on your iPhone. Try regular zoom and then go to the telephoto lens. And even though it's not doing this right here, it's giving you the same result as an optical zoom. So that's why on the Pro, I believe that is worth it, because not only is it going to actually be a different lens that's, telephoto, it's like zoomed in. It gives you a different dynamic. It gives you a different look. Why that's important for editing any type of content, right? Including vlogs, because it gives you a different feel. So I like to do things like wide, medium, and close up. If you've ever been one of my videographers, I obsess about this. Hey, if you're going to give me B-roll, get wide, medium, and close up. Why? Because when you're editing, it's nice to have those variations to kind of change the scenery and to put the focus on maybe somebody's face versus kind of capturing the background. And that's why we say, so if you have different lenses, or in this case, like a zoom lens, well, then you can do that. And so that's why I don't like digital things. I do like that new function you taught me that I have. I have been using that though, which is
cool.
It is still a cropped in, but it keeps the quality of it. It's still a digital zoom, but still it keeps the quality of your content. So I've been using that actually a lot. In fact, I barely use the actual digital zoom versus, what do you call that?
I was trying to look it up.
2x?
Yeah, it's basically the 2x zoom that lets you sort of create a optical quality version of the zoom. And the way that it does that is it uses the center set of pixels on the actual sensor and keeps it at that 4K quality while getting 2x zoom. Somebody who's a camera expert, if you're watching this video, can you tell me if that also changes the focal length in the way that Benji's talking about? Because I think it might, in the way that it's actually treating the larger sensor as if it was a smaller sensor because it's using a smaller set of pixels. So I think you might get some of that background compression that Benji's talking about, although I'm not sure. So somebody please inform me. Benji, I did get it to zoom for you. I apologize for the delay here. So this is, again, the tweet from Quadro_news, and here is what it looks like zoomed in. So you have the Pocket 4 and the Pocket 4 Pro right next to each other right here. This one right here is the Pocket 4 Pro with the lenses. I'm curious about what your reaction is.
My reaction is this. For the person that wants more options like me, it's cool because you get that zoom, but I'm already looking at the form factor. Remember, part of the benefit of the Pocket 3 is the form factor and its portability, because it fits into my fanny pack. It doesn't get messed up. I've dropped this from like 10 feet at a playground and it was fine. That bigger, head with all the dual lenses and everything going on looks kind of dangerous. Looks like it would break easier and is heavier. And, in my tiny little fanny pack, it's not going to fit as nicely. So that to me is a thumbs down, but you'd buy the Pro because but it's still better than buying something like this, right? Like a DSLR. So for me, again, it's who's going to use it and what are they going to use it for? But I'm looking at that and I'm thinking for my daily, I'm going with the Pocket 4, not the Pocket 4 Pro.
Because of the size.
Because of the size and that it would be heavier and more cumbersome. Because also literally it's like how quickly I can pull it on my fanny pack, flip open the screen and do that. Now that's without actually holding it and using it and seeing the difference right now, because of course, what's the price?
Yeah, I mean, my instinct was that the only thing that you would really be drawn to in terms of having that dual lens version is something like for your live streams where you can get more range, because we operate so much of your live streams remotely that you would give Neutrally the ability to zoom in.
That would make sense because it's just stationary.
Yeah.
when I'm out on the go, because I vlog a lot, I want it to be smaller and more compact. That's why the DJI Pocket 4 Osmo Pocket 3 is so game changer, because of the form factor being so small. So in that case, 100%. Especially if I got DJI to sponsor it. I would totally use it for my live streams.
Reach out to us. Let's talk about our actual sponsor of the show, which is Ecamm, your Max Creative Studio. You can watch our video about Benji's behind the scenes setup of his kitchen studio kind of build that he does by going to our YouTube channel, go to our videos page and just search behind the scene video. And for us, it is these Osmos are a big piece of the puzzle because there's something that Benji already uses day to day for his vlogs. But the real thing that unlocked our usage of that was Ecamm, the ability to live stream with Ecamm. Benji, we talked about this a lot on the show, but I want you to mention it again. Tell me about the beautiful match made in heaven between the DJIs that you already use and Ecamm that we use to stream remotely using your setup in the kitchen.
Well, I've been a vlogger now for over 15 years, and I've used many different cameras. There was one that was always my go-to, the Canon G7X Mark II. Not even the 3, the Mark II. It's a perfect vlogging camera. A lot of vloggers use it. So we just kept using it forever and ever. And finally, I switched to the DJI Osmo Pocket 3, which has been my daily now for 2.5 years. So I love it. I'm familiar with it, and it's got a lot of great functions, but there's one function on it that makes it perfect for live streaming. I also, on the flip side, started live streaming. So when I heard that I could use my DJI Pocket Osmo as a camera for live streaming, I was like, let's do it. And there's one function that Ecamm lets you take advantage of. That's game changer, which is the PTZ function, pan, tilt, zoom. Because I have a Nucci, he's my producer. Say hi, Nucci, if you can be on the show. I don't know if he can or not.
What up?
He controls my studio remotely. Now we have $30,000 worth of gear. It's all wired up. And so he can control everything. But in my kitchen, he had to be there. Because of this special function in Ecamm that we control remotely, and the fact that the DJI Osmo Pocket 3 has the PTZ function, he can not only control the cameras remotely, so that means he's not in my kitchen, he's controlling through the internet, jump onto a laptop and control these cameras. He can also change the zoom, the tilt, and the pan, so he can move that camera head around without me being involved. So I can focus on my cooking, I can focus on creating great content, and he can use Ecamm to do that. That's actually just the one function that I think makes it worth it to use Ecamm, because they make live streaming easy, but also they help you level it up. Because usually if you're going to have a pan, tilt, zoom, PTZ camera, you're talking thousands of dollars, sometimes $10,000 to get the function out of a $400 camera that I'm already using, and a lot of other people already have it at home. In fact, that video that we did, my live stream setup, I think is getting to like 30,000 views.
It is, yeah.
And we just uploaded a few weeks ago. That's a lot of views in a very competitive space because of that one function, I believe. That you can use the DJI Osmo Pocket 3 for live streams, but then you can also control it remotely and be able to control the direction, the zoom, and all that good stuff because of Ecamm.
You know, if you want to check out Benji's laptop kitchen setup that he uses in order to live stream like this so consistently, because it's such a simple setup, I'll put the link in the description after this video is published. But really the most important thing is that if you want to see how Ecamm works, you can try it out yourself by starting a free trial at the link in the show notes and use code BenjiTV15 for 15% off your first bill. That means if you buy annually, you can get 15% off a year of using Ecamm, which is incredible. Thank you so much to Ecamm for creating such an incredible tool, which I thank them for every week, and for sponsoring our show. Well, Benji, we talk a lot about long form content on this show. It's like really probably the core founding philosophy of this show. And the moment that vlogging and podcasts are having because of long form content and the TV era of YouTube, and actually just of all content. Now, we started a live stream podcast, for those of you who don't know, because we believe so much in this format in the near term. And you know who else believes in that? Did you hear about this?
No.
The hottest startup in the world, OpenAI. Now, let me read this from their blog, which, you know what? We can just get to the headline here. So here's the headline. This is from the Wall Street Journal, who broke the news. OpenAI buys tech industry talk show TBPN. But let me read from their blog because they explain some of this here. From OpenAI, Fiji Simo shared this message with the company earlier today. I'm excited to share that we've acquired TBPN. This acquisition brings a team with strong editorial instincts, deep audience understanding, and a proven ability to convene influential voices across tech, business, and culture. TBPN has built something pretty special. It's one of the places where the conversation about AI and builders is happening day to day. A lot of you already watch it and rely on it to stay close to what's going on. As I've been thinking about the future of how we communicate at OpenAI, one thing that's become clear is that the standard communications playbook just doesn't apply to us. We are not a typical company. We're driving a really big technological shift. And with our mission to ensure artificial general intelligence benefits all of humanity comes a responsibility to help create a space for real, constructive conversation about the changes AI creates, with builders and people using the technology at the center. That's exactly what TBPN has built. So rather than trying to recreate that ourselves, it made a lot of sense to bring them in, support what they're doing, and help them scale, while keeping what makes them special. A core part of this is editorial independence. TBPN will continue to run their programming, choose their guests, and make their own editorial decisions. That's foundational to their credibility, and it's something we're explicitly protecting as a part of this agreement. I'm also excited to bring their amazing comms and marketing instincts to the team. They've helped many brands market online, and because they have a strong pulse on where the industry is going, their comms and marketing ideas have really impressed me. I can't wait to leverage their talent outside of the show to innovate on how we bring AI to the world in a way that helps people understand the full impact of this technology on their daily lives. TBPN will sit within our strategy org, reporting to Chris Lahane. Really excited to welcome Jordy, John, Dylan, and the broader team. And then they have a quote from them, which I'll skip for now. Immediately, what are your reactions to this? They've acquired a podcast network. They want to bring it internal to their team because they think it'll help them with communications. What's your immediate take?
Yeah, well, any business needs some level of marketing or advertising, and they either pay for it or have it, right? This is what makes creators special, and I think podcasts fall into that. Even if you call yourself a podcaster, you are a creator creating some content that people want to listen to, especially if it gets lots of downloads or whatever. Go for it. My initial thought is this is them kind of buying influence, indirectly. Because it's not really an advertising platform, even though you can advertise in there. And then two, I think this is just another example of everybody buying up whatever they can in the media space, especially related to the creator economy. And they got a lot of money right now, or I don't know how much money they have left. I know they're burning through cash. Yeah. So it's those are the two things that it's like buying, advertising, and two, trying to get a piece of the pie of the media environment, which includes podcasts. So I've never even heard of that platform, though. Yeah,
and so actually, it's funny you bring that up because it made me have 3 questions that I want to bring up and answer them one by one. Let's go ahead and start here. So here are the 3 questions. What is their show, right? Because
their show or shows?
Well, I'll talk about that in a second. What do their metrics look like, and how much did OpenAI buy them for? Those are the immediate 3 questions that I had pop up in my head when that came up. Now, I just want to take a quick aside here for the audience because I got the great opportunity to speak here at the Seattle Creator Summit about a theory that I've been kind of latching onto, which is called show theory. And basically, my idea is that the important thing right now, the best strategy that most creators can take on right now is to create a show. The best example of this is Subway Takes because they have a little short form platform basically that is built like a show, has a consistent format. They follow it every single time and has scaled to be able to make them, first of all, make a ton of money on TikTok, but second of all, make a show that is long form that fits on YouTube, like horizontal YouTube long form proper. And so the show, in my opinion, is the valuable asset because the format is something that you can shop around. And so back to the questions, you can see why the first question that popped up in my mind is what actually is their show? Well, let's go ahead and dive into that. This is the, like I said, this is the first question that I wanted to get answered. And so here's just a quick taster. If we zoom out, this is what their website looks like here. TBPN, Technologies Daily Show, weekdays 11 to 2. And it gives you some links to, they're all over the place, right? Which is good. This is what their YouTube page looks like. And I know that Benji wants to be nosy and look in there at all the details, but I hid most of them already. Here, I will point out a couple of things, which is that they have right here, 96K subs and 2K videos. So it's not like they've been around for a very long time, right? So just giving you a little flavor for what type of technology company or which type of media company this is. Now, third, this is what their show looks like. So this is from their live tab on their YouTube page. And if you look really closely, you can start to see some patterns. They have like a lower third. They look a lot like, here, I'll even just draw it out. They have these lower thirds, which are repeated across the entire.
It looks like just a screenshot from inside of their show. Or is it the actual thumbnails?
It literally is. No, this is like, well, the thumbnails are just the YouTube auto-picked things from their daily live stream show. So that's the other piece here that I'm not showing is that they're doing this daily, right? And what it looks like a lot to me is kind of like CNN or ESPN, or as a lot of people have said, Sports Center. They're trying to maybe position this as the sports center of tech. So that's what their live stream show looks like. You can see most of them are about 2 hours long, which is a lot like our podcast. Makes sense. That's like a really common length for a podcast. Now, here's the other thing that they do, which is that they clip their show. And so here you can start to see that they clip it. All those videos that they have, they post out, I think like 5 or so a day maybe. And you can see that these are much more polished, right? So you have like Apple's new CEO, John Turnus, Mark Benioff versus Verizon CEO, Kevin Hart on TBPN, et cetera. And they have their little logo in the corner as well. And so I'm curious right now, I'm going to put a pause on this because there's more to come. Immediately, what are you thinking now that you've seen both their live show, which is their podcast, and their clips, which is their sort of growth mechanism?
I'm not necessarily impressed with their packaging execution or anything like that. I couldn't read the titles. And yeah, I mean, AI buying a channel with 100,000 subscribers, I mean, I guess, yeah, that would be a question, how much, right? Because based off that would determine, like, is this a good buy? What is going on here? So, yeah, I don't have that many opinions other than, like, I've never heard it. And it doesn't look like they're executing at the level of like creating, like you say, a show. Like,
well, I would say that they've made a show, right? They have a consistent format. They have a somewhat consistent thumbnail, right?
It's not the type of show that a big company like OpenAI would assume would buy.
Exactly.
It seems like it's like a friend of Sam Altman's that's like, hey, I would love like some like seed money and like, could you buy my show? And he's like, yeah, I'll buy your show. And could you like advertise for us or whatever? I'm like, my hunch is like saying it's like that.
So it's not a lot of pizzazz in the actual content or the packaging that you've seen. So what about the metrics? Because maybe the metrics will change your mind. So let's go ahead and answer that second question here, which is what do their metrics look like?
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to show you the same set of screenshots, but this time I'll reveal things. I'll have to read them out because they're going to look a little small in our things here. But here is one example. So these are the same things. Their last live one, which was as of yesterday, had 3.7K views, 5.1K views, 8.4K views, 5.7, 6.2, 6.6. You get the idea. It's around
How many years
6 or
is
7.
this channel?
I believe it's a couple years old at this point. Maybe just over a year. Their highest viewed video on this was 2 weeks ago, and it got 20K. Right? So that's their highest. Yeah. But on average, they're getting probably anywhere between 7 and 10K, maybe 6 and 10K views. So that's for their actual 2 hour long live stream podcast. Let's take a look at their clips. Here, they're getting, this was like right after they posted it, but 2 hours ago, 406 views, 3.3K views, 8K views, 5.3K views. So none of these are really even breaking 10K in terms of their clips. And the oldest one was 2 weeks ago at this point. So that's giving you a sense of the type of things that they're doing. Now, let me just pause here. What are your reactions to those raw numbers? Because I'm about to show you some aggregate numbers.
It's not impressive considering how many subscribers they have, even though subscribers don't mean anything, but those are recent subscribers. So in the last couple of years, so you would think if they had a like strong, committed, loyal audience, that those numbers would be higher, especially if it's the type of company that an OpenAI company would buy.
Totally agree. But again, the question still is like how much money, and
Oh my
also maybe
gosh.
these aggregate.
Can I guess?
Trust me, you're going to get a chance to guess. You know me better than that, Benji. Let's take a look at their aggregate statistics, just because I promised them. This is from vidIQ. Appreciate vidIQ having is at the very top. So over the last 7 days, they got 194,000 views. So it's nothing to sneeze at, but it's not like earth-shattering. Like I said, 96K subs. It's funny because vidIQ estimates their monthly earnings from AdSense. This is like 1.7K based off of their views. So it's not like they're making bank just on AdSense. I have heard that they've made quite a bit of money on brand deals, by the way. I forget exactly the numbers. We can come back to that later on. And the average video length that they have is about 1 hour. And on average, they upload 11 videos per week. Okay. This is enough.
11 videos, that includes a long show and the shorts.
Yeah, so 5 podcasts a week, plus probably about 5 to 6 clips that they do that are probably cut up versions of the show. All right. Well, Benji, I promise you that we get to this question, and I also promise you that you'd get to guess. I'm curious, first of all, what your guess is about how much OpenAI bought this podcast for.
I'm not even going to tell you my guess. I'm going to tell you my hope, what they didn't pay. More than $1 million.
Neutrally, I'm curious, did you hear about this news at all?
No, I didn't.
Okay, and do you know the number that they were purchased for?
No, I don't actually.
Okay, give me your best guess.
I say 650.
650,000. 650,000.
I
So
think
not over $1 million.
I think that it's 5 to 10 million
5
is
to
what
10
I'm
million.
guessing they bought it for.
Well, interestingly enough, I showed you that Wall Street Journal at the very beginning because they broke the news. For whatever reason, they didn't ask for, or they didn't get a quote about the actual number that it was. And so we have the Financial Times to thank for that. And here's the headline. OpenAI acquires popular tech talk show for low hundreds of millions of dollars.
Oh, geez.
So
Louise.
the estimate that a lot of people are thinking is about 200 million for this show. And I'm thinking that we should also say, OpenAI, please talk to us. We would love to sell our show for a mere $1 million.
Yeah, mere million.
Benji, I'm curious about what your reactions are to this.
I'm like poking fun, critiquing things, this and that, right? But they did sell for that much. There's a couple things. This is actually just a great lesson just for creators in the value of content and the ability to create content. I don't know how good the content is in terms of this.
Yes.
The quality, right? It's like,
Totally.
like, what if it looks even better than this? This is a pretty pro level setup. Okay. We have, DSLRs, we're using the Osbots, and we have good lighting, all that kind of stuff. Well, there's a cost to just being able to produce that. And then 2, the ability to understand how to create content, not just the actual physical production and the gear behind it, but like the understanding of how to do all that. Now, that's just on the content side, okay? There's a value to that and the ability to create that content. Then it's the audience. Well, even though they have 95,000 subscribers and they only get, 5 to 20,000 views, depending on the upload or whatever. Well, what if those 5,000 are all CEOs? What if those people are the movers and shakers, decision makers? Maybe like, what are they called? Tech bros. They're all tech bros. Well, yeah, that's a valuable audience. You know where I learned this actually was with video influencers. We got big sponsorships, bigger than what I ever got when I first started my vlogging channel with Judy, or when Judy was first starting out, because our audience was so valuable. It was creators watching us, hence why I started this show, right?
Totally.
Creator Seekers Podcast. I knew the value of these people. It's not like I'm doing it because I'm making money off of you. I just knew like, this is why I talked about my piece of paper: YouTube, creators, creator economy, and creators is circled. So if your audience is really valuable, then there's a value in being able to communicate with that, which what I say about OpenAI buying this platform, they want to be able to advertise, right?
Exactly.
Or control the narrative even to a certain degree. And so that'd be the second piece. 1 is the content and the value itself. 2 is the audience, regardless of how many views it gets. How do you value tech bros, CEOs in Silicon Valley? I mean, the numbers kind of show you. I think the third thing too is the potential of this show. and what OpenAI can do for it. So the thing is this, what if this show is good for that audience, but it's not like living up to its full potential? I actually say, it's funny, I'm not trying to like get our show sold. We're not living up to our full potential because we have other things going on. I mean, credit to you, Austin, and Mutually. The show is incredible. But man, we could be doing so much more.
Totally
we
agree.
could be doing short form. Even our branding could like maybe get leveled up a little more. We did our first standalone, proper, rankable type of video, the live stream setup, which is doing really well, right? Speaking to your analytics understanding, Mutually be on camera, and then just, like me doing live streams and being able to teach all of that. That's just the beginning. So that potential is what they could be paying for, because I think it could be so much more. But still, if it's more than 100 million, my gosh.
Well, they said low hundreds of millions. To give you a sense of what the show looks like, here's what they have. And you can see why I call it kind of the Sports Center or CNN of tech, right? They've just got lower thirds. It is in a professional studio. It's well lit and everything like that. They've got a ticker and all that stuff. If I rewind, you can see their crazy animations that they've got at the beginning and end. And they do have really big folks on there. And so in terms of the people that they reach, right, it does do a lot in terms of that. I mean, the fact that a lot of people at OpenAI are listening to it is evidence enough of that, right? And so I agree with you that who they're reaching maybe is what's most valuable here.
And the fact that they're doing it. OpenAI is not in the game of creating content and having a production studio. What do I see a lot of brands and businesses do? They want to start their own podcast. They buy all this gear. They set it up. They think they're hiring the best people, and then the show goes nowhere. Well, this business is probably their only focus.
Yes.
And so they're buying a studio and knowledge in a package, and good for these people selling. They like put a price tag on it or whatever. So that's why like an individual creator already has value for any business or brand, even if you don't have a lot of views. Because if you can create high quality content, regardless of the amount of exposure you get, there's already value in that. We know this because if you need to shoot your wedding, right? If you need to create content of your big day, you hire a photographer or a videographer or both, and costs a lot of money. Now that's unique because it's a one-time thing. There's no reshoots, high pressure. But guess what? That can be like $2,000, $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 for a pro level of quality. And you get no views from that.
Totally.
Right? Like, literally, it's just like a video file that you give over. So if people are willing to pay for that, well, this is why if they're hiring you, you shouldn't do things for free, because the ability to create content, tell a story, and resonate with an audience, even if it's a small audience. Because that's the thing too, because there's some creators maybe have valuable audiences valuable to other brands, but it doesn't seem like a lot of views. So then they don't value it accordingly. Well, this is a great example of other things that are valuable outside of the views. Now, to be fair, they do get views. I mean, they're getting more views than us on average, even though they do have more subscribers. So it's not like you're buying no views at all. But I think it's all those things put together. It's just crazy to me. This is a big one. How much money is in that world? And it just kind of gets thrown around.
Yeah, it's actually funny you bring that up, because this is why I bring it together, or bring it to the show, which is that this is the Silicon Valley philosophy applied to content. So one of the big things about Silicon Valley is that they invest in things that are early when it's kind of risky to do so. That's the whole point of venture capital, right? Maybe you've heard, if you know anything about the Valley, of things like incubators, or maybe you've heard of like Y Combinator or any of those things. It is very much in the bones of the people who are in the culture there to take something that is nascent and early that they believe in and give them a lot of money to grow them. That's kind of what you're bringing up here and what they say in that blog post, which is that they want to basically take the kernel of something that they see here and expand it, give them the runway to grow even more. And for OpenAI, I mean, $100 million is a lot of money, but it's not like going to necessarily break the bank for them. I do think it's maybe a little questionable that just the sheer amount, but it also goes to show too that like for a creator, your value to the right buyer could be way more than you've ever thought in your life, because you are the perfect fit for them for some reason or other. For OpenAI, they had this huge need apparently for communication. And so like, okay, well, this is an easy way for me to, get our communication arm up and running. And maybe speed was a big part of it. Maybe the audience they were reaching was part of it. Maybe their connection to them was a big part of it. And so the right connection there, you never know who might be a part of your audience that's listening. And so even if you don't have 100 million views, like a Mr. Beast video or something like that, if you're getting few thousand views, but it's the right few thousand views, geez, you could be cashing out big time, which is amazing. The last thing that I'll say too, before I let you finish us off, Benji, here, is that I think is a validation of show theory a little bit, in that this is a show. They basically shopped around this podcast, which is a format. It fits the idea of a show. It even kind of looks like an old-fashioned TV show in some ways, right? And OpenAI is like, oh, we kind of know what we're buying here. It's not viral videos. It's a format, right? And a process and a team, right? And those things applied have maybe a predictable growth pattern. And that brings us all the way back around to the idea of the Silicon Valley philosophy applied to the media space, which is that in this scenario, they kind of have what in Silicon Valley you would call a minimum viable product or an MVP, which is that this is something that works. It's reaching a good group of people that they like, and it's a proof of concept that you can then use and maybe turn around to grow even more. And that's why I think this all came together in this way, even if it is a little absurd on first pass.
You know what it reminds me of? Beam. B-E-M-E. Casey Neistat's
I wish I was wearing my shirt.
MIT pet project that turned into like I don't know, how long was it alive for? Like a year, if that?
Maybe
6 to 12 months?
Yeah.
Do you think he knew that that's what he was building for, like a big buyout? Because I don't know how much he sold it for. Is that even documented?
I'll look it up.
I mean, it was lots probably. Like it kind of in a way retired him or gave him the option to like just.
I think he announced it after his NDA was over with CNN, right?
Yeah, The Verge reports it as $25 million.
Okay, so like he took everything he did. And one of the reasons I know for a fact, by the way, I don't share this a lot. So I got to hang out with Casey Neistat in his studio and interview him, right? Well, guess what I also did while I was there? I promoted Beam. Right?
I didn't know that.
Yeah, that was around that time. So, I mean, I feel like that would have happened organically, but definitely there was like a nice incentive there for him to have me there because it wasn't just on Video Influence, which had a huge audience, but also on my vlog channel. But the reason I bring it up is, dude, that got sold for $25 million to CNN. And what even happened after that? Yeah. Nothing, right?
Not really. I think they tried to incorporate some of the team to build out their app, but that was about it. So let's go ahead and move on to the film room, which is the segment of the show that is the behind the scenes or the director's commentary for the projects that we do on our YouTube channels. Now, one of the things that I know about you, Benji, is that you have avoided posting on TikTok for a really long time. But you dropped some really kind of shocking news the other day, and I think this was maybe inspired by the Seattle Creator Summit, that you're going to become a TikToker.
Yes.
I want to take a look at your YouTube channel, and I want to dive deep into one of the features here that you have decided that you are going to try out on TikTok.
Yeah.
But we're going to start with YouTube because this is what your YouTube looks like. It actually looks like a show because it is kind of. It's like a Costco shopping channel at this point for some of these things, for these ones that are on the main video pane. And you recently posted this video 3 weeks ago titled April Deals Are Here at Costco. And to give people a sense of what it looks like, you start on the outside of Costco, and actually we can listen in.
Just here shopping for some stuff. Gonna see what sales they got. Pick up some groceries.
Gotta get the cart.
Hello.
Now, I'm going to pause it there because this is what most of for those of you who haven't seen it, this is what most of your videos look like, right, on this channel.
The Costco vlogs for sure.
The Costco vlogs. Now,
I'm wearing the same sweater.
I didn't even realize that. It is baseball season here.
Yes.
So one of the things that you have not done in the past is take these videos and clip them. Now, last week on the show, we did get to talk about an example of you creating a dedicated shorts video for a sponsor that took this format and scaled it a lot like I've talked about with Subway Takes. But our question was, is there a way to take your existing content that you're already creating and multiply it across other platforms? Because we've had such a good experience doing that on live. Now, this is what you showed me that you're going to be doing. This is a part of TikTok Studio. Yeah. And this is on your account. You're logged in here on this computer.
What's it called? TikTok what? It's like quick cut, TikTok Studio.
You know what's funny is that it doesn't even show me here. Smart Split is what it's
Smart
called.
Split.
It says convert a long video into shorter videos for TikTok viewers. And you uploaded this the other day. And we have not taken a look here at what this has done. But what it says right now is that we've uploaded that video that we were just watching, that long form video, and it gave us 8 shorts in return. Are you ready to review them
I have
together?
not seen this yet.
This is a live reaction to the smart.
It's easy
Smart
too.
Split?
I just dragged the video and it just started doing it, and then like 20 minutes later, they all popped up.
So we're gonna review this, and here is the first video that they came up with. Oops. If it'll let me.
They also like come up with the captions for you and everything. I know it's weird. It's go here. You have to go to the edit
Do I? Okay.
to watch it, which is I don't
crazy.
know. It's
So I'll
weird.
skip through the.
Just a standard Kirkland signature laundry detergent.
This is my
We use
actual
powder
TikTok
stuff
account,
now,
by the way.
kinda religiously, and I mean, you can't beat that. $20. That is freaking crazy. So we used to get like the liquid stuff, or even those little tablets. I found out they're not
It's
that
weird.
good for the
They're
environment,
watching
so
me
we
like
don't
a
get it
TikToker
as
right now.
often. I found out the powder stuff is just as good and way better priced. Of course, the classic is the Tide, but you don't usually see the Kirkland signature always, which is weird. But it's here this time. Okay, another odd purchase that I haven't bought myself in a long time. Usually Judy gets it. This is
Pause.
glass cleaner.
so
Alright, now
what
just
we're
not-
looking at also is the editor, and I would have cut it way back there because the takeaway, right, or the focus is already past, and now we're just getting into something random that has nothing to do with what I think the algorithm picked up on and created the caption. So I'm already like ready to upload that. if
So
you
it's
want.
pretty good. Yeah. Like, what's your rating out of 10?
Well, I mean, so this is the thing. Whenever I review anything or I comment on a product or I feature anything I'm buying, I am ultimately creating a TikTok.
That's true.
It's just I'm creating like 20 of them to create a long form. So when my friend Andrew, who was like, Benji, you have so many long form that you could do. And he was just talking about my vlogs, my family vlogs, right? So you could do this for all your content. I was like, he's right. I just was not a big fan of going on TikTok, and now I'm comfortable going on there. So, and we didn't have this function before. I would have had to do this, or my editor would have to do this, and now it's just doing it based off of AI learning.
Yes.
So the reason I'm actually excited because it's kind of probably doing the research for me. What might be like
Something that would
valuable.
hit.
Yeah, exactly. And look, that was one video. It got 8 clips. I would clip that one a little bit on the front end, a lot on the back end, and just let it go. I might change the caption. I'm saying right now, if you wanted to in real time, you could do it and just upload and just see what happens. But that's just one of 8. You don't need all of them to be perfect. In fact, that one wasn't even that strong.
Yeah.
I think that maybe it would just show up on someone's algorithm. They might be curious about my opinion on it. And that's kind of the nature of TikTok. You never know what is going to do well. So you might as well do it. And if just one of them kind of hits, well, then I literally have like 300 vlogs I could upload. That could be 300 TikToks, if not
Minimum. 3,000. It could be 3,000.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's take a look at the second. I want to just keep going along.
Yeah.
And see.
First time I'm watching these, you guys.
You get the live reaction.
So I'm not a big fan
Pause
of
though.
Pepsi
Tell
like
me
I
what
am
the caption is.
I don't. Oh, trying new
does.
healthy sodas, Pepsi prebiotic cola and kombucha.
This is a good. Okay, why this is a good one before we
Trends.
even go into it? Who's ever seen a prebiotic Pepsi before?
Yeah, kind of interesting.
There's an inside story to this. It doesn't really matter, but it's because they bought a prebiotic soda. So they're now creating the Pepsi version of it. That's just a side note I got from the comments, but keep going.
Yeah. Okay. Let's go.
Coca-Cola, but this is pretty cool. Pepsi prebiotic cola. They have both cola and cherry. Tell me if you've tried it. How is it? You're trying to get in on this trend. If Coca-Cola had that, I would probably try it just because I am a fan of Coke. There's all these healthy sodas.
So already, no, I would extend that.
Oh, interesting. And I wonder,
So you
can I do that
Yeah,
here?
you can.
See, I don't know how to do it because I've never done this before.
Yeah, you can extend it.
I believe you. You
Yeah.
guys are. Oh, here we go. Like, there's a good example.
Okay, let's see what the rest
Try
would
it
be.
just because I am a fan of Coke. There's all these healthy sodas. I think it started with kombucha because kombucha is good for the gut health. There's one brand that people said,
And then it continues on. So,
But guess what? I would just continue it on.
are you pretty impressed so far?
I'm definitely impressed. I guess that's what I expected it to do. And the real question is, what else is missing from that selection? Because that's like probably a 20-minute vlog, and it pulled out 8 clips.
And they're all about a minute long. So, I mean, not all of them, but my guess is it's pulling probably about
the
5
point is
minutes
this.
total of content.
Is content that could hit. It does. They all don't need to win. I just need to win some of them. And also, I don't have a presence on TikTok. So this is an easy way because I'm a long form content creator. The key here really is you want to capture content in 4K, output it in 4K. Because by the way, this isn't even the raw exported file. This is just what I downloaded off of
Really?
YouTube.
I was wondering what the quality was like there.
So it's not
Okay.
even that good of quality, but it's just wild what works on short form, just because it's on someone's phone, it doesn't have to be in 4K. So I'm pumped up about it. I'm like, I want you to just like press upload.
No, I'm
on
not
some
going
of
to do it.
these.
I'm not going to do it. You're going to have to do that yourself.
Because it does take work to look over it, but AI is doing a lot of it for you if you've already edited that.
What's your total grade at the end of this? Let's do A to F for this one. A, B, C, D, F.
Without using it, I think it's like B+.
B+. And so that to get that final little bit of
The final would be that it gets views.
yeah. Okay, that's
If
fair.
it gets views, it's definitely an A+, right? Views that I didn't have before.
We will follow up on that in a future episode of this show.
And follow me, Benjamin TV or Benji Travis. I forget. Just look at it. I think it's Benji Travis.
Let's go ahead and finish off with some Ask CSP. You can use hashtag AskCSP to ask a question on the show. And we have a question this time from a viewer named, the initials BT. I think it says Benji here on the screen. I don't know if you can pull that up. Oh, yeah, Benji. Keep shorts, mids, podcasts on different YouTube channels or same channel or doesn't matter. Benji, I want to know your initial reaction to this, and then I would love to get in a little
Well, it's
conversation.
my own question, and it's like the age-old question for 6 years now. Should you do on the same channel? It's like what Pat Flynn's like. Should you open it or should you
Keep it sealed.
keep it sealed? Right? Should you keep it on the same channel or start another channel?
By the way, Pat's answer to that question, or actually Dan's answer to that question, who's the producer for that show, is different channels. They do different channels. I'll talk about why in a second, but I want to let you finish first.
Well, I also think ideally different channels if you can do it and you're very clear about the different strategies, the different audiences for those. But my new follow-up to that is it might not really matter and there's a potential benefit to being on the same channel. 50-50, but there's just variables you have to determine. If you have the resources, if you have a team, if you can be consistent on both, separate channels that keeps it super clean, the algorithm will find each other. If you're by yourself and you just want to like build this channel and you're still like in the experimentation phase, do it on one channel because YouTube says it doesn't matter. Like it like
For
they
the
prefer
algorithm.
for the algorithm.
Yeah.
It's like separate things they do them, but I feel like that's like based off of the programming, but practicality when you think about people, it might matter, because people look at different things on a channel. They might not go to the shorts, they might not go, or they might go, or the algorithm puts it in front of them, and if they don't want to see it, does that ding the whole channel? I don't know. Like the thing is this: a human that's using YouTube and going to suggested feed only has so much bandwidth. So if you like are bothering their like viewing experience and they don't like it, well, it's not like they're going to say, I'm going to unsubscribe or I'm going to like say show less of this. They just aren't going to watch.
Yeah.
They might not even watch the thing that they initially wanted to watch because you showed up so many times if you're doing a lot of volume. So I don't know. That's what's frustrating. It's like I don't know, but I'm at more like it doesn't matter because YouTube says it doesn't hurt you. And we found that both channels doing it separately also doesn't hurt. It keeps it clean for the creator. I think that's what's important too.
Yes, I 100% agree with what you just said there about it keeping it clean. Because I have trust in the algorithm personally, that I think the algorithm will get the video to the right person. Not in every scenario, but in 99% of scenarios, at least 90% of scenarios. So like on average, you're gonna be posting hundreds of videos probably over the course of your career. That's a pretty good hit rate overall, right? That said, if you're someone who's trying to learn from the data, I think it can get really messy in something like YouTube Studio, for example, if you're trying to post them to the same. I mean, you have that experience, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Because like when you post a short, which maybe doesn't have the same weight as like a long form video on your channel, for example, it like overrides that like top spot in your YouTube Studio app, for example. It makes it harder to track those things day by day.
My
you know?
YouTube channel is a good example of how posting it all on one channel does hurt you, but it's not for the obvious reason.
Yeah, tell me.
Well, I've been doing live streams and I've done some short form and I still do vlogs, but I don't do a lot of vlogs anymore, right? They're getting less and less views right now. And I'm sporadic on the other two. So as a channel, it's kind of all over the place. And I've been seeing my performance go less and less because I don't have the bandwidth to keep up any one of those really consistently, except live streaming, right? And live streaming, like it's like hit or miss. Sometimes it's strong, sometimes it's not as strong. I just did a live stream yesterday that already got like 6,000 views, which when I first started, it would take a week to get to 6 or 10,000 views. And I'm doing that in less than 24 hours. So, you know, if I'm just consistent, if I were to save to a creator, see, it's actually not even a question about the platform and the rule of thumb. It's really about the creator.
Yes.
I know in my gut right now, if I go live every single day for the next 30 days, which is not that hard if I didn't have other things going on, it would just crush. If I do a vlog every single day for the next 30 days, it's going to crush. If I do a live stream today and then I'm waiting a few more days and then I do a vlog and then I upload like 3 shorts and I'm not consistent in any type of content, that would hurt my channel, even if all the uploads added to the same amount if I were to do a live stream per day. Because you have to think about the user's behavior and their kind of follow-up viewership and what's happening on their feed. If they watch a piece of content from you and and they like it, right? And they see the algorithm sees you uploaded another type of content like that, it's more likely to show them that, and that viewer would watch it. Versus if I do a live stream yesterday and then today I do shorts, but that person that watched my live stream, they're not into shorts. So guess what? They don't click on it, even if it was suggested to them. But because I did shorts that day and not live streaming, guess what? That's hurting me in a way. So this is not a question about the platform or the algorithm. Like you say, you trust a algorithm. Yeah. I'm like saying, well, maybe you should put it on different channels. No, this is a question about the creator.
Yeah, I agree.
What do you have bandwidth for? Because I do believe, you know who's a good example of doing it all on one channel and crushing it? Sean Cannell and Think Media. They do everything on that channel. Live streams periodically. I mean, he's like arguably the best when it comes to live streaming, like educational content and getting views like it was a produced video. They do regular uploads on demand, right? And then they do shorts all on one channel. Hasn't had any problems growing that, right? Working with brands, doing all that kind of stuff. Other people have opinions on it. Experts are all over the place. I actually put it more simply. It's about you, the creator.
Totally.
What do you have the bandwidth for? And I'm a good example. Like, I don't have the bandwidth for all of them. So I'm like getting really close to being like, I'm going all in on live streaming.
Wow, really?
And I'm going to just do vlogs once in a while because I believe in live streaming so much. And that actually opened my eyes. That was my first cooking live stream that I did without Neutrally.
Sorry, Nooch.
Yep. And I was like,
by the way, the prophecy came true. They said they were going to fire you Neutrally.
Yeah,
so.
But it's not because I didn't want to work with Neutrally. It's because I wanted to go live more often and not wait for Neutrally.
Yeah.
I want to have my live streams that are leveled up. I'm using Ecamm, multiple cameras, but we can only do that realistically 2 or 3 times a week if we wanted, okay? The other ones, that one I did yesterday, I used a DJI Osmo Pocket 3 wirelessly, not wired.
Pretty cool.
Did it through the YouTube Studio, did just vertical, bam, 6,000 views. In fact, I'm going to look it up right now. I bet you it's even more. And that means I can do more reps. Reps. Everything comes down to how often can you do it is going to determine how successful you're going to be at anything, and especially with content. And that includes YouTube, no matter the format. But the next thing is consistency. And consistency in format, I think, matters more than are you doing both on the same channel.
Interesting. Yeah, and I'll just speak for the other couple that I can give examples of. I promise I would talk about Dan Norton and Pat Flynn on Deep Pocket Monsters. Dan told us that they separated out because Pat basically does all the short form on his own. Like you said, Benji, it's all about the creator. And Dan was like, oh, I want to have pure data over here because we're only posting one video a month and it would drown out what we're doing on this other channel about the creator, the person who's doing the story for that channel. On our show, we do both long form podcast lives that you're watching right now, and also clipped versions of that show that are kind of like mid form, like 10 to 20, 30 minutes. Because we're trying to achieve something similar there, where we're trying to get people into watching the overall show. And we think the best way to do that is to reach a bigger audience. By the way, we also posted a random behind the scenes video that's not really random. It's going to be a future thing that we do regularly on that channel. And it performed well as well. So there's all sorts of reasons, but here's a good example of this. When it comes to the creator, you know what happened with that behind the scenes video? It got lost under a sea of all of our clips. And so it's hard for me to track it as regularly on a daily basis using the standard YouTube tool. So bottom line, I agree with you 100%.
I just sent you 2 images. I don't know if we were able to pull it up on the show in real time, right? If it's 2 hours, no big deal. But I just checked on my live stream I did last night by myself with my DJI Osmo Pocket 3. Vertical. It's already got 6.4 thousand views. And guess what the demographic was?
Because it was vertical, right? My guess is that it was older.
Yep. So we've been seeing this thing happen where the demographic is not matching my typical demographic for my family and food vlog content, which has matched my age. I'm 42. So it ranges anywhere from 25 up to maybe 45 at the highest. Well, guess what? My number one demographic is 65 plus. Crazy. 40%. And then 55 to 64-year-olds. And then literally it goes all the way down until you get closer to my age. And that's just barely more than the 45 to 54. But then again, it picks up at 55, 64. And then number one is 65 plus. What is happening? I don't even know. I feel like maybe, this is just strange to me. And I kind of did it for this reason. I've been waiting all day because this demographic, this analytic didn't show up. I've been waiting all day to see this because it shows me an older demographic likes the vertical because they're probably watching it on their device, which is a phone or a tablet, vertically versus on the TV, which again, we would just assume an older demographic would. It is to a certain point until you get to that demographic. So it's an opportunity to get discovered, and I love it. I love any viewer at any age that's appropriate, right? I just not say anything inappropriate for kids, but still, for me, I want to connect with other adults, people closer to my age. But it's awesome because this is another audience that's discovering me and potentially subscribing. So yeah, it's wild to me.
I think bottom line for creators, do what's right for you. Think about the implications of doing both on the same page. I agree with Benji. If you're early on in your career, just manage one channel and see what catches for you and see what you want to do. And bottom line, figure out what makes most sense for you. And talk to your peers about it too, because they probably have some opinions as well. We finish off this show every week lately with the Letters to a Young Creator project from the Steve Jobs archive. Love this because it's all sorts of people who are at the top of their game, who have been at the top of their game, some of the biggest and best minds in the entire world, really, talking to folks who they see as the next generation of people who are going to be driving the conversation. This week is Ruth Rogers, who is an American and British chef who owns and runs the Michelin-starred Italian restaurant, The River Cafe in Hammersmith, London. Ruth says, creativity thrives on control. Enter a restaurant kitchen, and you'll see behind the frenzy lies a disciplined approach. It's an intricate choreography, enabling improvisation and inspiration. Structure, whether scaffolding, the steps to a dance, or a recipe, will give you the foundation and space for that creative spark to appear. Ruth Rogers. Benji, any reactions to Ruth's thoughts?
100% correct.
Thank you so much to our sponsor, Ecamm, your Max Creative Studio. You can learn more about Ecamm at the link in the show notes, and you can get 15% off your entire first purchase, which could be an entire year of using Ecamm, and of course support the show with our code BenjiTV15. As always, thanks to the students of Vlogging Academy who are our first and foremost OGs. And thank you so much for listening. We'll see you next week.